PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Okay, champagne, there we go. Party hats, good. All the hors d'oeuvres out.
Why is there
lots of great Latin stuff going on?
Hey,
What?
Why is there glitter all over the floor?
Because it's going to be huge. It's going to be fun.
What is all this? What did you do? It looks like a party city exploded in here.
Well, it's supposed to. It's a festival.
Oh, is it that time already?
It's that time already. It's 2017's Boston Springs A Fethival. Two great shows, back to back, all about all kinds of stuff.
Wait, hold on. I'll be right back.
Where are you going?
I gotta get my glad rags on.
What are glad rags?
I'm back. You like my new outfit?
Uh-huh. Of course I do.
Well... You said that we had to dress up for this show, and I figured...
I didn't mean Carmen Miranda. You look silly with the fruit basket on your head. Honestly.
Oh, I can take this off because I'm going to... Oh, crap!
It's the 2017 Boston Springs A Festival Part 1, right here, right now. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown. Help me up.
Like sands through the festival movies.
This is Subject Cinema. I'm getting glitter up my nose.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Do you think the mariachi band is too much?
I'm more concerned about the ice sculptures shaped like doves.
We could have had Mateo come in. At least that would have been a festival film representation.
The guacamole fountain's a little much, too.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 567, day and date, May 20th, 2017. Yep. Part 1 of our 2017 Boston Springs A Festival.
Hey!
9 festivals, 3 movie series.
Why do you keep saying no?
No, I'm not saying no. I'm saying 9. N-I-N-E.
Oh.
9 festivals between late February and early May every year.
I was going to say, I didn't know you spoke German.
I don't speak German.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I do speak some French. Do you want me to try and do that?
No.
Anyway.
Sorry, I'll be good.
That'll be a first.
Oh!
Subject Cinema is always happy to present a look for all of our listeners at the Boston Film Festival season in the spring. We do it again in the fall, too, with the Boston Fall Fiesta, which will be coming up in November. But for this weekend, 2 shows, glam-packed with regular features and our festival coverage. Part 1, we're just going to talk overviews of all of the different festivals, the different types of movies, where they are, the kind of clientele that shows up, and such. On Part 2, we're going to do things a little bit differently, and we'll explain that at the beginning of that show. But it's going to be a lot of fun for you. Plus, we've got all of our regular features on this show, and then the next show we'll have a few as well. And it's all part of our double feature weekend, and we hope you enjoy it. This week was crazy. We had trying to get everything ready and go for this show, and we missed Front Row 5 and 10 this week because of because of her.
Because of me. Completely.
Supernatural had the 2-hour season finale, and we couldn't squeeze it in. Nope. So it's like, you heard all about that. I'm sure we'll hear about that on Platinum Rose's Garden this weekend.
Yes.
Anyway, but it'll be back. We're still going to do what we were doing last weekend. It'll be back this Thursday.
Oh, it's going to be a fun show. We hope you come check it out.
We revel in this time every year. It's exhausting. It's exhilarating. It's fun. It's all kinds of information on films that we hope we will see throughout the year.
Yeah.
It was at this time last year where I saw what ended up becoming my best picture of 2016, the marvelous Ira Sachs drama Little Men. Mm-hmm. And we discovered the equally marvelous Theo Taplitz and Michael Barbieri.
Yes.
And so hopefully this year will be the same, as we'll find out tomorrow.
This was a different year in the fact that for the most part the weather actually
cooperated.
For the most part. I mean, there was some rainy days.
The T didn't cooperate for the IFFB, as usual.
The T never cooperates for the IFFB.
They always do repair work on that end of the red line during the IFFB, so you end up shuttling everywhere. And it's like, what a pain in the butt. Any case, we're going to go over the festivals one at a time and talk about where they happen, who they are, and what kind of films were there. We're not going to give any information on the films on this show. That'll be on the tomorrow's show. Mm-hmm. And everything was going to be a lot of fun, and we hope you'll find a lot of interesting stuff and entice you to join us in Boston next spring for one of the festivals, because we have some of the best festivals in the world up here.
We do.
They really are. The people that run them are knowledgeable and insightful. I often wonder if the people in the Underground Festival are not batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Which they are very proud of, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're very proud of that fact. I think the thing with the festival, with the Underground Film Festival, is if they can't offend at least one group, they've failed. They have to have at least one movie that's going to make one specific group, whether it's a religious film or a political film or whatever. They have to have one film out there that's going to make one group pull their hair completely out. Otherwise, they feel like it's been a dismal failure.
They succeeded this year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to get into the overviews of the festivals, and we hope you'll enjoy it. It's going to be a big, packed show, and we will talk about the festivals and all of the action therein
when Subject Cinema returns.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Hello, everybody. On behalf of Nick, Joe, and Vern, we would like to invite you back for a brand new season of the As You Watch podcast.
In our upcoming season, we will be talking about franchises, trilogies, and series of movies that you will recognize and some that you may not.
We will also continue to post fun and insightful interviews with many people in the world of entertainment, as well as feature a lot of great guests from other sites and podcasts.
So be sure to check us out on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Podomatic, and on Facebook.
And don't forget to check out our older episodes on our site, asyouwatch.wordpress.com.
If you're looking for great films, well, that's okay. You'll like us anyway. Subject Cinema.
You are tuned in to Boston Springs A Fethival 2017 on Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 567. Every year between March 1st and May 1st, roughly, the Boston, Metro Boston scene goes nuts. There are 9 festivals now. There were 8. There are 9 festivals now, plus a Fringe one earlier and a couple of film series that all happen in that 8-week period. And it gets nuts. Mm-hmm. Now, the first one that we look at, we'll go back and talk about the earlier one at the end because it's not technically a part of the window. The first one that happens in the area is the only all-doc fest of its type in the Boston metro area. It is the Salem Film Fest. This year it happened from March 2nd through the 9th. 2017, and a confession on our part. This was the first year in 5 years we were unable to make it to the film fest.
Yeah.
Normally we spend 4 days up there, and thanks to machinations that happened with Kim's work schedule, we were unable to get there. So we've been getting films from screeners and stuff, but we're going to go on past experience.
Yes.
Because we have found the Salem Film Fest to be possibly the most accommodating film fest in the Boston area.
Oh, absolutely.
What is it that we've fallen in love with about Salem? Well, number one, we love Salem.
See, the thing that the part of the reason that I love the Salem Film Fest so much, I can't speak for everybody else, just for me. Part of what I love about the Salem Film Fest is that it is in Salem, Massachusetts.
One of the coolest towns on the planet.
Is one of my favorite places on planet Earth. I love Salem, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Every time I come to Salem, if it's just for a day of shopping or whatever, or the days that we spend up there when we've been at the film fest, I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm someplace I belong. I feel comfortable. I feel like my aura can run free.
Thanks to it being the capital of witchcraft in America, the Wiccan Church, a lot of it is based up there.
And the irony of that is just unbearable.
Well, that's why they chose it. Salem has an amazing New Age vibe about it. Everybody is welcome.
Yes.
No matter how crazy or how silly or how goofy you get, that really shows up at Halloween time.
Oh, yeah.
Salem is the Halloween capital of the world as well.
The phrase "the freaks come out at night" could have been said about Salem during the entire month of October.
I covered the Halloween celebrations 2 years in a row for Discjockey.com, which was based in Salem, and so it was crazy.
Halloween night in Salem is like Mardi Gras for weird people. It's just too beyond cool. But the Salem Film Fest is a really terrific festival, especially if you're somebody that is new to the whole idea of a film festival. Now, I know some people might be like, oh my gosh, a film festival, it's all documentaries. Kim, are you crazy? That's not for me. Documentaries are all serious and depressing, and they're all about war and pollution and horrible stuff. Wrong.
Well, they're not normally. Salem does not have any, very rarely do they have stuff that are films that you like as documentaries, stuff about fluffy bunnies and penguins and such.
All right, okay.
Being all fairness.
No,
although last year they did premiere Ketty.
Yes. Okay, major confession, which I'm sure is going to shock absolutely nobody. I love movies. I love all kinds of movies. Documentaries are not usually my favorite thing to watch.
I love them.
Because if I want to be depressed, I'll watch the news. I don't want to.
Not all documentaries.
But that's one thing. That is one thing that the Salem Film Festival taught me. Film Fest. I'm sorry, Salem Film Festival.
Salem Film Festival is in Salem, Oregon. It's a completely different thing.
Which we're also sure is a pretty cool place, but we've never been there.
I've been through it.
The Salem Film Fest shows documentaries, and some of the documentaries are about very powerful subjects, and some of them are about things that will make you think and will make you angry and will break your heart and stuff like that. But they also show documentaries that just kind of make you tilt your head and go, what? or show documentaries that...
I think she's speaking of $1 Million Duck there from last year.
Or they'll show you a documentary that makes you go, wow, I never thought about that before. Or it will tune you into something. This is going to sound really strange, but it will tune you into something that you already knew. Mm. You just didn't know you knew it. We saw a documentary last year about this band that the Sir
Douglas Quintet. The movie was called Sir Doug and the Genuine Texas Groove.
Yeah.
I think that was the name of it.
I was like, I don't have the faintest idea who these people are. And then I saw the movie and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that song. There was the song that they were...
The very first big hit they had in the 1960s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually know this song. I actually know who these people are. They actually did more than one thing. And watching that film, really opened up my eyes to what the band was and who was involved with the band and all the other things they did. And it made me want to go out and listen more.
Right.
And I was like, wow. See, that's the thing about documentaries. I mean, yeah, like I said, some documentaries are dark and serious and stuff like that. And we need to see things like that. There was another documentary that we saw last year that I want to bring up that was just one of these, and we both sat there through
this. This is supposed to be about the venues and stuff. We're not going to talk about what we saw last year. We've already talked about them on last year's show.
Oh, okay.
But quickly, you can get a quick note in.
But
have to rein her in or we'll run forever.
I get enthusiastic, I'm sorry. We saw another documentary that at the time was called Davids and Goliath.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 years ago, I'm sorry. And we both sat there through this entire documentary, and both of us, I don't think this is inaccurate, we're both sitting there and our jaws are just getting lower and lower and lower watching this film and going, oh my god.
You can find more about that. You can find more about that by looking up the title "Human Harvest" on Google.
Yeah,
it'll take you to their site.
The other great thing about the Salem Film Fest is that it's very personal. It's very intimate.
Some people have a mistaken. We did too when we first started going. Film festivals are for the art crowd.
Oh, we had enormous misconceptions.
And there are people in the art crowd.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of Salem.
And boy, you can take them.
Salem is a college town. Salem State University is centered there. And so it brings a little bit of everybody to their festival.
Yes.
The festival is held every year at the Salem, at the three venues that have become our little home for that weekend we go up. The marvelous, beautifully restored Cinema Salem, which has had a long and completely misstoried life, starting years ago as a SAC theater.
Yes.
And it's in the what used to be the East India Mall. It's now Museum Place Mall.
Museum Place Mall, and it's much improved.
And it
home
was
of Essex Pizza.
It was a terrible little place when I first moved up here. They had these little stores, and the place smelled like eggs, and it was like rotten eggs, and it was always terrible.
Yeah.
They fixed it up, and later on, after AMC and then Patriot were running the theater, and the Patriot gave up on it, businessman Paul Van Ness stepped up and bought the cinema, renovated it, and turned it into the cinema which consistently wins Best North Shore Cinema every year in Boston.com's annual survey.
It's a terrific cinema. It's a very small cinema. If you remember, if you're of our generation.
Well, it's not terribly small, but it's definitely an old school. It doesn't have the stadium seating. It's got hallway seating.
And if you're of our generation, TC's and mine, you actually remember a point in time when you went to the theater and there were, hold on to your hats, folks, 2 cinemas, if you were lucky.
Yeah.
Some theaters only had one, they had one screen. If you were super duper lucky, you had 3 and you thought you were living like kings.
Cinema Salem is a triplex, and they've also added a 18-seat screening room in the last couple of years.
They have a cafe, which serves really good food and has super...
Well, they serve desserts and coffee. They don't serve food as it is.
No, they don't have... No, but there are plenty of places around Salem in that area to get a really decent meal.
Village Tavern is right there across the hall
Village
from
Tavern is amazing. There is also a candy store called Turtle Alley. If you are...
No, actually, it's not there anymore. They moved.
They did?
They moved to a new location up closer into... Yeah, they just moved this past a couple months ago.
Oh, my frog.
So they won't be there next time we go up. We'll have to hike to them.
Oh, no. If you're in Salem, you have to try Turtle Alley, though, because their chocolates are...
The chocolates are amazing.
Crazy.
Salem, in addition to the nice thing about the Salem Film Fest more than anything is that all the venues are walkable.
Yes.
Unlike a bigger fest like the IFFB, where they run at the Brattle and Somerville throughout most of the week, and then later on they're exclusively at the Coolidge.
You have to take the red line and kind of run all over the
Salem
place.
Film Fest are all within a block of each other. There's Cinema Salem at the East India Mall. There is the marvelous auditorium at Peabody Essex Museum, the Morse Auditorium, and then there is screenings also at the Salem Visitors Center, which is part of the National Park Service in Salem. And
we'll be honest. We should be honest, and let you know that this is going on in March in New England.
It has varied. The first year we were there, the day it started, or the day we got into town, we had 26 inches of snow.
Yeah. So the weather is what it is because it's
last
New
year
England.
It was beautiful.
Oh, last year it was great. You know, it like TC mentioned, it is walkable, but as I mentioned, it is New England, so you may wind up,
we were at the festival on Friday last year, 2016, and we had snow. We're supposed to get snow flurries. It ended up being quite a substantial amount, and had a hell of a time walking back to the hotel, which was 3 blocks away. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, because
we stopped at Salem Beer Works for dinner that night.
Yeah, because neither of us are like, you know, the most. We fail our Dex checks.
Well, not to mention the fact that the sidewalks on that end of Salem have not been repaired in ages, so they're up and down where tree roots have grown up and whatever.
Yeah.
So
you do have to be a bit careful, but
the people at the Salem Film Fest are always awesome. The staff is knowledgeable. The volunteers are very cool and eager to help, and the audiences love everything. Another great thing about Salem Film Fest is they show what they call Salem Sketches. It's a small little feature before every feature. It usually lasts about 4 minutes, and it's artisans and craftspeople and working people who are based in Salem.
Yes.
Any kind of they have one on the Record Exchange, which is a little mom and pop old school used record store up there.
They've also had little features on people that own like dry cleaning organizations and also the people that work for the power company and stuff like that.
They're fascinating and funny.
And they are.
And so is all the live entertainment. There's live entertainment before almost every show.
Yeah, live musicians.
And the Salem also keeps their other 2 cinemas going with regular films. They show films at Cinema Salem exclusively at the big theater during that, so they can keep everything normal going too.
And a lot of the films at the Film Fest, there are panels afterwards. Sometimes they will have
Q&As.
Q&As. They'll have the director there, or they'll have somebody from the film there, so you can ask questions, and that's always really fun.
It's highly regarded, and they always bring in at least 1 or 2 huge movies that have been getting buzz at other festivals. Rich Hill, which won Sundance 2015, was there.
Which later was shown on one of the PBS.
Yep. And it's
American Experience, I think?
It's on one of them. It might have been Independent Lens.
Oh, maybe.
And you can see it for free on Netflix if you remember now. There is also, they did the same thing with Top Spin, which was which also showed at IFFB that year. And a number of other great films. But last year's big attraction that way was $1 Million Duck, which had won Best Film at the Slam Dance.
Yes.
And it was, it's a treat. The Salem Film Fest happened this year from March 2nd through the 9th, 2017. And to Paul and his entire staff, we really, really miss coming this year. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a hole in our hearts in early March because that's our getaway in March. We get away and go have fun at the festival and
We really missed you guys.
We missed Essex Pizza, we missed Village Tavern, and we missed our home at the Salem Waterfront Hotel, which is a beautiful place to stay.
Beautiful hotel, great, wonderful staff, really great restaurant in the hotel with a delicious breakfast. Super awesome pancakes. I'm sorry, you can tell how much I love a place by the way they do pancakes. If you do good pancakes, you've captured my heart. Salem is just a beautiful, wonderful place. I think it's a little kitschy and cheesy to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a magical place. And it's so much fun. And if you ever get a chance to come to Salem anyway, you should definitely do it. But if you are going to be in Salem around the time of the Salem Film Fest, at least take in one film so you can see what a great festival it is and how wonderful Cinema Salem is.
Yeah. Now, we had gotten to the point where we had thought we had gotten, after years of complaining, where we had finally got the film festivals to do something that they could have done, which was to, not run the same time. This year, 3 festivals were all running at the same time on various weekends. The first of which was the Irish Film Festival. Irish Film Festival happens at Somerville every year, Somerville Theatre. Even though this is the one festival that does not call themselves the Boston Irish Film Festival. I rag on them mercilessly about that, but it's all in fun. 17th year this year for the Irish Film Festival. And it's always held at Somerville, and it's always fun Because number one, Somerville Theater is an awesome place to see
love
films.
the Somerville.
The main theater especially, but the smaller theaters aren't too bad. Although the side ones, we have a little trouble with the seats.
Yeah,
But
that's because we both got big butts.
Upstairs and downstairs are okay.
The Somerville Theater we should bring up is in downtown Somerville.
Davis Square. Right across the street, or right next to, depending which entrance or exit you go through on the Red Line on Boston's T system.
If you were going to go to the Somerville...
It's actually the easiest venue to get to.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And it's also one I would suggest leave the car at home. Take the T.
Unless, of course, the T is doing their stupid stuff like they're doing at FFP.
If you're just going to go to the Somerville,
it's not so easy.
For just to check out a movie or just to check out the cinema because we say how neat it is, definitely leave your car at home, take the T because it's easier that way because the streets are a little small and I don't even know where the parking is for the Somerville Theater, to be honest.
There isn't that much.
Yeah.
It's near the Tufts campus out there, and it has a great clientele, and they do all kinds of regular movies and special movies and a number of the festivals.
And they're also located in an amazing area where you will, trust me, not go hungry.
Oh, no, there's a Chipotle down the street. There's Boston Burger Company and JP Licks right across the street. Although some of them closed recently. Some of the nightclub Johnny D's closed after years and years.
There's also Mike's Deli.
Mike's Deli, best kept secret in the Boston area.
Oh, maybe we shouldn't tell people.
Well, we know how full it is at the festival time.
Yeah,
great place, and of course there's Tedeschi to CVS if you need to buy, goods or
and
whatever.
The snacks at the Somerville are terrific. They work with a local bakery that on certain days they bring in brownies and cookies and stuff that people can buy.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think they have the stuff in there.
Yeah, and they do these amazing cookies that are chocolate chip cookies with salt on top.
Right.
Which sounds terrible until you actually eat one. And then you're like, I don't ever want to eat a chocolate chip cookie any other way ever again, ever. Because these are like so amazing.
Somerville is the one complaint I have about Somerville. It's an old theater. It's been there since the early 1900s.
Yeah.
The lobby is tiny. It's not as tiny as the Brattle, but the lobby is tiny when it comes to the food area. The lobby is tiny,
and the bathrooms are in the basement, which is,
The bathrooms are in the basement next to the Micro Cinema and the Museum of Bad Art, which is in Boston, the Boston locale of that.
Is that opened again?
Yeah.
It was closed.
Yeah, they close it every now and then for new stuff to come in. It's a national thing.
New bad stuff.
Yeah.
And they're not kidding. The art is terrifying.
The neat thing about Irish Film Festival is the people.
Oh, yeah.
We've been to this every year for the last 10 years or so. And
without
a doubt, we try to blend in, and we usually keep our mouths quiet. Because if we talk, it'll give us away.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a delightful Irish
Everybody's
brogue.
got these wonderful Irish accents, and everybody else sounds absolutely fantastic, and we sound like a bunch of nitwits. So we keep our traps shut. And there's so many sweaters. Everywhere you look, there's these beautiful Irish sweaters.
Again, because it's March. It's comfortable.
And I want to run up and grab them. Because I want to be like, excuse me, going to steal your sweater now. Because it's just awesome. And they have some really... I think the one word to me that would describe the films that show at the Irish Film Festival, I don't think it would be unkind to use the word quirky. Because we've seen some really great films
Of all
there.
the films we've seen over the years, The Runway still stands out as my all-time favorite film from the Irish Film Festival.
The only one that's...
Although Black Irish also premiered there. I didn't get to see it that year. That year they were at the Brattle. And that, of course, has a soft spot in my heart because it's Michael Angarano.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
I love The Runway. I do not understand why this movie did not get wide release. It
never
so
found a
good.
major distributor. You can see it online now, finally.
It's so good. I think the only film that I might like a shade more is the documentary Older Than Ireland.
Which was at last year's festival and was one of my top films of the year. Older Than Ireland was a blast.
What a beautiful documentary. Yeah. Loved it to pieces.
One of my best documentary last year. And I believe that's on Netflix right now, too. If you've never seen it, you should.
I think it might be.
It's, what it is a bunch of septuagenarians who were... Centenarians?
Septuagenarians.
They're 100 years plus. Everybody in the film is over 100 years old. And it's like the stories they tell about growing up in Ireland and how the country has changed since they became Ireland, because they were there before they were Ireland.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a terrific
crazy.
movie.
When you think about someone that is that advanced in years, that they were actually around before their country was a country.
Right.
I mean, that's nuts.
Olden Island also has another distinction.
So
it was
beautiful.
booked for 1 week when it was released in April at the Kendall Square Cinema. It was so popular, it was held over for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is how many people didn't get to see it at the Irish Film Festival.
And wanted to.
So it's like...
That's not to say that every film at the Irish Festival is going to be for everybody, because some of them do get a little abrasive.
I wasn't particularly fond of The Lamb.
Yeah, me neither.
Behold the Lamb.
Behold the Lamb. Yeah, that one left
That
both
was
of us
2 or 3
going,
years ago.
Okay.
But it was still a lot of interesting people. And like we said, the Somerville is a great place to see a film. It's just
really
great place
is.
to see a film. Next on the list is a festival that is held at the Museum of Fine Arts for the most part. It is the Boston Turkish Film Festival.
Yes.
It is done in a little bit different style. And instead of throwing all their films into one 3 or 4 day weekend, they usually run 3 or 4 days a week for a month. They start and they usually run Wednesday through Sunday for 3 weeks in a row. And then, of course, after the films are over, there's another 2.5 weeks of music and concert festivals that they do. It is to celebrate Turkish language film, and the Boston area has a large Turkish community.
Which
and
is something I didn't realize.
I didn't either, and it supports a huge
That's great,
number
too.
of films that come in for this festival.
Yeah.
One of the biggest to come in this year is a movie, an adult. I gotta say that. You gotta make that distinction. An adult animated comedy called Bad Cat. And this thing has been getting rave reviews wherever it's played around the world. And it'll be out in America in the fall. And it'll be interesting to see what'll happen.
Somebody really should come up with another way of putting that. I mean, there are definitely animated films that are films that should only be seen by a mature audience. Because when people say adult cartoon,
you think of X-rated films.
I
know.
Yeah,
and there's no other way to do it.
No, that's where people's minds go. They automatically think of stuff like Fritz the Cat or stuff like that.
Right.
But mature is actually better.
Mature is probably actually better, although this does have what is the equivalent of an X rating. So, but it's for language more than anything. But the artwork is beautiful, and it's like, wow. They show a variety of films that go to every aspect of the Turkish film. There's comedies, there's dramas, there's family films, there's animated films. They also have a series of shorts they show. And I have to be honest, if there's any place that is more suited for festivals in Boston, it is quite possibly the Remus Auditorium at the Museum of Fine Arts. This is the big brother of the Morse Auditorium at Peabody Essex. They're the same designer, same setup, but the Remus is 3 times as big. And I have to admit, if you're way up in the top row at the Remus, if you don't have glasses and you don't see well, you're not going to be able to read the subtitles, and you'll barely be able to hear it if they've got the regular speakers and not the side speakers on. It's that big. You need to be about halfway down. We've been there twice before this. I went for Tom at the Farm, and you went with me for Rocks in My Pocket. And it's an amazing venue. And of course, if you're a member, they have a great film program there anyway. There's films there all the time. And
it's another one of those locations, though. I do think it would be safe to say you could drive there if you wanted to.
And they have a huge parking area, parking garage too. But it's easier to get on the Green Line and drop off because it's for the stops right across the street.
I'd say so. It is one place, though. I have to be honest. It's a beautiful building. It's the Museum of Fine Art. But you do kind of walk in there, and you're like, oh, wow. You get very intimidated. There's definitely, you walk into this place and boom, the atmosphere hits you right in the head. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the first...
You have to go through the museum part to get to the Remus.
That's my point. You're walking through this incredible museum, and I was like, I feel so underdressed.
I'd still like to go to the museum. We've never actually been there for the museum. We've never been to Peabody Essex for the museum either, which would be nice.
I know.
But it's an incredible place to see it, and they are not the only venue. They also host the Boston French Boston German, and the Roxbury International Film Festival, which is coming up next month, and a lot of stuff independently too. I mean, there's the National Jewish Film Festival went on there recently, and we should have included that. I didn't know it was happening at the same time as most of the Boston stuff. So it's interesting.
I thought that the Jewish festival usually was
That's
in
the
October.
Boston Jewish Film Festival.
Oh, okay.
This is the National Jewish Film Festival.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I wanted to try and get to see the film on hummus, and we didn't get out there, but it was interesting. And the like I said, this is the one place. This is the one venue, not the Turkish Film Festival itself, but the one venue where it's very easy to feel underdressed because of because of where it is. The Remus is a beautiful place to see something. I've never been to the Alfond. There's also another auditorium, a smaller one called the Alfond Auditorium there. We've never been to that one. So
when we saw to see Rocks in My Pockets and we're walking to the theater and we're walking along and I'm walking and I'm like, my shoes are too loud. I'm breathing too loud. This place is way too fancy. What are we doing here?
Well, I had never been there when I went to see Tom at the Farm. It was you had hurt your knee and couldn't go with me that week. That was the week after you hurt your knee.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel so out of place in this place by myself yet. But it's a great place to see it.
It is a really
and there is
beautiful
a cafe
place.
right across that serves then the wine bar, and they have all kinds of cool stuff out there. Going on concurrently with these festivals, and I mean all of them are kind of crazy, as we said. The fact that they all happen at the same time can get kind of overwhelming. Is the Boston Underground Film Festival. Now, Boston Underground is a unique experience. There is no other film festival in Boston that is quite out there the way the Boston Underground Film Festival is.
That is true.
We've had more fun at these festivals practically than anywhere else.
Yeah.
And because the people are rowdy, they're mostly college and just out of college people, and a few older film buffs. But the amount of stuff that comes in, Underground tells you what it is. These are films that are subversive. They're offensive. They're obnoxious. Everything that you could possibly say bad about a film.
Or they're just flat out balls to the wall weird.
Yeah, that too. Over the years, we've seen some incredible stuff at the Underground Film Festival. Some of it has been excellent. Like, back when they were still at the Kendall, before they moved to the Brattle, we saw a great film called The Beast Pageant, which we have completely, pushed like crazy on this show.
One of the most beautifully whacked out films I've ever seen.
If you like Guy Madden, you'll love The Beast Pageant.
We saw an amazing documentary that when it was still held at the Coolidge, the Kendall, called Machete Maidens Unleashed.
Which is on Netflix.
Yeah.
Or Amazon. It's on one of the two.
Great film if you're a person that likes watching exploitation films.
Women in prison movies, basically.
Yeah.
They've also had their share of crap. Gone with the Pope. You didn't sit through that. I did. Gone with the Pope was a restored version of this 1970s, schlock thing from, I forgot his name, Duke. He played he was in the other half of the Martin and Lewis clones.
Yeah.
And that movie's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible from beginning to end.
I'm sorry. I was just like, have fun. I mean, I don't like to think that I'm a prude, but I'm like...
No, that would be... I mean, that's the kind of film that would offend Catholics everywhere.
I'm like, have a good time, goodbye, I'm not going to this.
Then you find little quirky gems at this festival also. Some of them have been critically praised, like the I liked better than you, The Congress with Robin Wright. It's half animated and half live action. Yeah. Robin Wright, Cody Smith-McPhee, great film, got great reviews at other festivals that year. And then you find something like The Lure. The Lure was from last year. It is currently making its way around the country slowly and will show up on DVD shortly.
Possibly first, last, and only vampire mermaid musical I've ever heard of.
It's funny as hell. It premiered at Berlinale last year, and it is a great film, and they are making an American remake of it, so it should be interesting.
And they're going to screw it up.
Yeah.
Probably.
But, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. The Underground Film Festival also has great short programs that, animated shorts, live action shorts and stuff like that. They show great foreign films. We saw.
They had some great Japanese stuff a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Smuggler.
Smuggler was awesome.
Really great.
And the less said about Karate Robo Zabugar, the better.
I liked Karate Robo Zabugar.
I know.
You liked Manborg, and I
love Manborg. Manborg is a riot.
And we both thought John Dies at the End is something you have to experience.
If you're a Don Coscarelli fan, the gentleman who did the Phantasm movies, he did John Dies at the End, and he was there that night. It was a great Q&A. It was a great funny Q&A. As hell. And I Declare War premiered at Underground too, which is another great film you can see on Netflix.
Awesome movie.
And I think it's on. It might be on Fandor also.
Mm-hmm.
It's a terrific little film.
The other thing about the Boston Underground Film Festival is the fact that they also have live music. From usually the last couple of years, it's been a group called the Whore Church.
Well, the Whore Church is involved with some of their stuff. Do they do live music?
I'm not sure if it's live music or if it's just like a...
I don't remember for sure, but they...
But they also have something that they do on Saturday morning.
Saturday mornings are the best. Saturday morning cartoons is some of the best things you could ever do. From what does it run? From 10:30 to 1:30 or something like that.
Something to that effect, yeah.
They invite people to come. The Underground is held at the Brattle. You guys know we love the Brattle. We're not worthy. Ned and Ivy and their people are awesome. And they invite you to come in, wear your pajamas, bring your kids. It's the only kid-safe part of the festival.
Yes.
And they show vintage cartoons from the 70s and 80s and feed you...
And the 60s.
And the 60s. And feed you all kinds of cereal.
You can get all the sugary cereal and also like...
They have healthy stuff. They have almond milk as well as regular milk and skim milk.
They have cereal.
It's amazing. They have so fun.
Pastries. And you are encouraged to wear your jammies.
And you see stuff you've never seen anywhere in ages.
We don't, because I'm not wearing my nightgown on the Red Line.
No, but I'm saying I mean, they have your Scooby-Doo occasionally, and they had well-known stuff, but they had Star Trek, the animated series.
Yeah.
To our terror and horror, they had an episode of the Barclays a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Which was an All in the Family clone.
They ran a segment from the Super Friends. Thankfully, it was not from the Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog era. I happen to be an enormous fan of Star Trek, the animated series. I wish they had shown another episode other than The Survivor, which is not one of the better ones.
They also occasionally throw in some live-action stuff. What was that thing called?
What thing?
Not Jabberwocky.
Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
That was animated. That wasn't live action.
Oh, I thought it was live action. No. Some of it was. Wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh, Tomfoolery is this great off-the-wall avant-garde thing from, I think it was from England, wasn't it?
No, it was NBC. I don't know if it was an...
Was it? Okay.
That's when I looked it up on Wikipedia.
It was too hip for the room and at least 5 years before its time.
I was like sitting there going, what the hell is this? And I looked at you and we were both like, neither of us remember this
I don't remember the show at all, but it was surreal and funny and just amazing. And that was the year they ended with Lancelot Link, which I loved, although the sync was off by about 30 seconds, and Slim Goodbody.
Oof.
But most of the time, you get a lot of great action, horror, Japan stuff. And
we got an episode from
awesome.
The Mr. T Show.
Oh, God. Yeah, don't remind me.
And also an episode of an animated series version of Planet of the Apes, which I don't remember at all. But I remember going, wow, this is really graphic.
The only thing, we didn't make it last year because of your church schedule, but they've never shown Shazam or ISIS, which I find is interesting. Those are part of the Saturday morning history. So when we come back,
if they ever show Rubik the Amazing Cube, I'll have to peel him off the ceiling because he'll be jumping for joy so high he'll get stuck.
I won't be jumping for joy. I just like the fact that Menudo did the theme song, and Ron Palillo did Rubik's voice.
Nifty.
When we come back, we'll have a few more of the Boston festivals.
When Subject Cinema returns.
No film is too good or too bad for us. This is Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Subject Cinema. We're doing a double episode this weekend. This is part 1. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham. Subject Cinema number 567. Boston Springs A Fethival 2017.
Boingy, boingy,
Every
boingy.
year, this is one of our favorite things and one of our most listened to. And next weekend, when we start to shift our programming, we'll talk about that later on, we will have up our annual Boston Springs A Fethival PDF. Is going to be bigger, brighter, and more than ever, we are going to link to every single film that showed in the entire run, which we've never done before. We're going to link to all the festivals, all the films, all the people you need to know, and everything about them. And it'll be in our Super 2017 PDF, which will be up on Saturday of next weekend.
So you'll have something to read over Memorial
I haven't
Day.
had time to finish it. That's why there's so much going on with it. I haven't had time to finish it.
Something you can look at Memorial Day when you're outside burning your steak.
Exactly. Take it out and read it. You'll be like, wow, this is good. Oh, crap. I've got the shrimp are burning. Ah! Because you're so interested in reading what we've got to say.
We don't want people to burn their shrimp.
Why?
Because when you burn...
They're Cajun.
When you burn a shrimp, the angels cry. It's, shrimp is too beautiful to burn. Don't do that.
Leave supernatural out of this. Anyway,
you brought it up. Don't do that. Don't lay it all on me.
Next up in the massive amounts of great film festivals in the springtime is the oldest LGBTQ festival in the country. It celebrated its 33rd or 34th year. I'll look it up real quick here. This year, they changed the name of it officially last year, and the original title is now a subtitle. It is now called Wicked Queer, the Boston LGBT Film Festival.
To be perfectly honest, I love the new title.
I do too. It's perfect for this area.
It just screams Boston. It's just perfect.
The film festival is run by a lot of great people that we've had the fortunate chance to work with over the last couple of years. Talk to them and getting screeners from the ones we can't get to. And so it's always a lot of fun. The films are not exclusively targeted at the LGBTQ audience, but they are about the LGBTQ audience, and that's a big difference. There are people of all orientations, creeds, colors, sizes, and everything at these films.
Yep.
And we have loved everything we've ever seen there.
And everybody is absolutely made to feel welcome. Now, we don't want to make it sound like other festivals don't make you feel welcome.
All the festivals make you feel welcome in their own different ways.
They do, definitely. But Wicked Queer has just this real vibe around it that says, if you're a person that has felt isolated and alone, come on in and take a look. If you're a person that is like, well, I want to be more open-minded and get to know other people, come and take a look.
Yep.
And I like that. I think that's so beautiful and so amazing, and I wish the rest of the world had that same vibe so people would stop acting like asshats.
Unlike a lot of the Boston film festivals, it actually does have films in Boston.
Yes.
But they have, in Boston proper, I should say. They're all in Metro Boston. But Wicked Queer does show films at various locations. A lot of their films run at the Brattle Theater in Cambridge, which we talked about, and Brattle is just awesome, always. Balcony is especially awesome. We can't fit there anymore, but it's especially awesome.
And the Brattle also serves beer and wine if you're old enough to drink, so that's also
They show films at a couple of other venues that are exclusive for one or two films. They're usually free screenings involving health or issues of the heart that LGBTQ and their families need to deal with. Those are usually shown at the Cambridge Public Health Center and the Fenway Health Center, I think. But their two main venues are the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, usually the Alfond or Arenas auditoriums, which we've talked about, and another place we have yet to talk about here, the marvelous, beautifully restored Arts Paramount Theater.
Oh.
Now, they don't use the main central theater. That's for stage plays.
Yep.
You go into an elevator, and upstairs on the 4th floor is a beautiful, really amazing screening room that they have. That it's part. The theater is now part of Suffolk University.
Yes, it is.
I'm not sure. I had which university has done it.
Yes,
and
it's a beautiful theater, very comfortable seats, and it's a great place to see a film. We've seen some really great films at when it was the LGBT festival, now Wicked Queer, as we said.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the unbelievably, criminally underseen, everybody should see this film right effing now, Boy Meets Girl, which is
currently available on Netflix, starring Michael Welch.
So good.
2008, 2009, #1 male rising star.
And Michelle Hendley,
yep.
who
was on our list in 2015.
Who it is a crime that more people don't see her work because she is just beyond fantastic. And we also saw a film at this festival that I was kind of like, okay.
Furries?
Yeah. Fur Nation was the name of it. What's that name?
Furries.
Oh, it's Furry. Furries, okay. I'm
sorry.
Fursonas, sorry. A documentary about the furry culture, which we had both heard of, but I was like, do we really need a film about this? And I came out of it going, that was fantastic. You know, it was a really great film. And I love the films that this festival shows. And I love the vibe from this festival. And it's just so wonderful. And I think it's such an enormous part of the Boston film scene. That's where you saw Tom at the Farm, and you came home that night.
No, I saw Tom at the Farm at the Museum of Fine Arts.
No, but it was part of the... Wasn't
it was part of the... Yeah, it was part of the Wicked Queer show.
Yeah. And you couldn't stop talking about that film for weeks.
Best film 2015.
Weeks after you saw that film, you were
even
still
though I
talking
saw
about
it a year and a half before it finally found distribution in America, which doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
It is Xavier Dolan's best film so far, and I absolutely adore it. It's such a great Hitchcockian... Oh, Alfred Hitchcock would be so proud of this film. It's an amazing film. If you've not seen it, you should.
I really actually...
She doesn't like the ending.
I don't like the ending. Sorry, but I don't. But I actually kind of thought that was an odd choice for the Wicked Queer Festival because, for the most part, most of their films I find... I don't want to say that they're light films because they're not.
Oh no,
light.
They're not. There's a lot of dark stuff.
There's a lot of dark stuff, but Tom at the Farm is like pitch black.
Well, the lead characters
I mean,
are
it's
gay. That's why.
I realize that, but it's like wow. But it is a great festival. It absolutely. I know some people might hear the title and that it's called Wicked Queer, and some people might be like, "Well, I don't want to go to something like that because I'm not gay." You
That's
know what?
So silly.
That's stupid. Stop thinking like that.
Like I said, this is an all-inclusive festival.
It totally is.
Just because the characters might be gay or LG, or transgender,
trans or whatever,
it doesn't mean that the story doesn't apply to everybody.
You know what? They're characters. They're people. And they're great films that make you care about the characters. It's really a beautiful thing.
Oh, it's just it's a fantastic thing to go to, and if you've not been to this festival and you're in the Boston area, you're missing out on one of the best.
Yeah,
because they really, and again, they know how to host something.
It's also
they always have a great person there talking about the films,
right?
Representative of the festival itself.
I do have to give a small caveat. The Paramount, while it is a great place to see movies, they don't have snacks. They don't do snacks or popcorn or stuff like that.
Right.
I didn't see any. There are places around there to get food.
Legal Crossing is right across the street, which is the Legal Seafood restaurant in downtown Crossing.
Yeah, and if you're willing to go up the street and do a little twisty-turny, you'll find the Thinking Cup, which is another place that...
It's a block away, but yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It is.
The Thinking Cup has some of the best damn croissants in Boston.
That one's tiny compared to the one in North End.
It is tiny, but it's got some of the best damn croissants in Boston.
So
and I'll stand by that.
Because we haven't named it before, because I couldn't find the name of it's the Wright Family Screening Room.
That's it.
On the 4th floor of the Arts Paramount, and they're not the only. I mean, they show film series there all the time. Emerson's Bright Lights film series runs there, and they have a whole bunch of other stuff. But a lot of the festivals run there as well.
Yeah, and it's really amazing what they've done with that cinema, what they've done with that area of town.
That part of Downtown Crossing was
a mess.
The combat zone when I moved up here.
For those of you who are not from the Boston area and don't know what that means, and I know certain people my age are going, haha, I remember that place. The combat zone was a part of Boston that was on
Boston's red light district.
Yeah, it was on the seedier side. They had a lot of X-rated theaters and adult bookstores, and the problem was it bordered right on the theater district. So, it was...
Now the two colleges down there, Suffolk and three
of them...
It's
completely renovated.
Suffolk,
that
Emerson, Tufts have renovated 4 theaters, Opera House, Paramount, Modern Theater, and the one that's over in the block behind the... What's the name of that one?
Which one?
The one that's in the block between Dunks and the Wilbur.
I can't think of the name of it.
That's been renovated by them, too.
Yeah.
And they're in the process of doing the Colonial Theater right now.
Yeah.
They're renovating all these places, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, they really cleaned up that part of town.
It's beautiful
and it's really
down there
beautiful now.
It's
and
beautiful.
The Paramount is a beautiful building now. And it's such a great place to see movies.
I remember we used to see the marquee kind of hanging there dejectedly, and we would turn there to go down to Baker's Place, and now it's lit up in all its glory and restored, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, and it's got such a vibe about it, saying come in and enjoy and stuff like that. And one of the things you can enjoy there is definitely the Wicked Queer Festival, because like I said, the vibe that you get from the festival and the films and the people there and the people that want you to come see films and the parties that they have and all that stuff like that, it's so amazing and so encompassing and welcoming, and it just feels great. Yeah. And it makes you feel great. And then you want to make other people feel great, so you go tell them and they come too. And then everybody's feeling great. And that would be really cool if that happened all the time, so people wouldn't be...
Why do I suddenly start feeling like I should start singing the Sesame Street song? Sunny day, sweeping the clouds away.
Excuse me for being sick and tired of the fact that everybody's always walking around being angry now.
All right, fine. Okay, fair enough.
Sick of it.
One of the newer festivals to come along in Boston, although it's been here off and on for the last 6 or 7 years, it really has become a major week-long festival here in Boston the last 3 years. It is the Boston chapter of the Real Abilities Film Festival. Real Abilities is based out of New York, and they run local festivals in, I think, 21 cities across America. And Boston's, again, happened to coincide with all the other ones at the same time.
Yeah.
Real Abilities is made up mostly of films that people have seen before or may have heard of before in the last year, and they all spotlight disabled people or disabled interests.
Or people who have overcome their disabilities.
Right. This year, their opening film was Life Animated, which was an Oscar contender. The true story of a young man with autism who found his way to communicate with people in the world through Disney animation. Last year, they had the crash reel here, the marvelous story of Kevin Pierce, the Olympic-bound snowboarder who never made it to the Olympics due to a terrible accident that left him with a severe brain injury. And there have been other great films over the last few years. Real Abilities is another one of those festivals that's extremely interesting because while they're considered Real Abilities Boston, a couple of their films run in Springfield. They run, which is a 2-hour drive on the other side of the state. Some of their films run
45 minutes
in
if you drive
Taunton.
to Stacy.
They're all over Massachusetts,
Yeah.
and they're trying to spread it out everywhere. They don't always happen at the venues where you would normally think. They do run a couple at the Bright Family in downtown Boston and the Museum of Fine Arts.
And
occasionally at the
Coolidge.
Brattle and the Coolidge. But they also run the Jewish community centers because it's co-sponsored by the Boston Jewish Film Festival. The Jewish community centers at various areas like Watertown and Natick and places like that.
Yep.
This is like I said, this is one where you can. A lot of this year's festival films are now available on Netflix. In addition to Life Animated, Asperger's or Us is on Netflix, and a number of other films. Plus, you can see The Crash Reel on Netflix too.
Yep.
No, it's on HBO on demand, and you can see it.
It's online. Look for it.
This is one
Did
of the,
that German movie make it onto?
No, the German movie still hasn't made it into America yet, so that's a shame. And that wasn't actually part of Real Abilities. That was the Goethe Institute.
Oh.
That was a different thing. It was a German film I saw last year that I'm still pissed it hasn't found a U.S. distributor yet. But it would have been a great entry. It's nice to see this kind of a festival evolve. And the parts of it have been out there for 20 or 30 years, I'm sure.
Right.
But the new focal point there's so many stories of people who have dealt with physical and mental disabilities over the years that are now being told on the big screen.
Yeah.
And some of these are also premieres that will later show up on Frontline and a few other shows.
Yeah. And they're being told in a way that's, over the years, has changed a lot from the way these kind of films were originally done, where a lot of times, I think, the problem with a lot of films that deal with people with disabilities and people overcoming their disabilities is a lot of them, the earlier films, they made it seem like these people did these things all on their own. And it was almost like some kind of a magic.
Or they were incredibly clinical.
Yeah, kind of a thing.
Now there's humanity getting into the films.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that a lot of these people don't make the people who have these disabilities are not in an enormous struggle, that they really do have to. At the end of the day, we're all alone. We are all in our own little cage. At the end of the day, we're all in our own little cage of flesh. But the thing about the later movies and the films they show at these festivals now is that they show the person dealing with their disability, but they also make it a point to show the support system that the person has that is helping them deal with the disability, and how that affects the people around them, the people they love, their family, their friends, their caregivers.
I'm unaware of it
like
because I really wasn't aware of it until it went to full festival status here in Boston 2 years ago. I don't think they've ever shown Blood Brother, and they probably should. Because dealing with that kind of an AIDS epidemic in India would be right up their alley.
Yeah, even though that film
will rip you apart if you've never seen it. But it's
Blood Brother is a film everybody should.
There's a reason it won the Sundance Award.
Yeah, Blood Brother is a film everybody should see, but I'm not sure everybody can.
And you're not likely to be able to sit through it more than once.
Oh no.
No. It's amazing. Next up, another film festival that has been around for quite a long time. The Boston International Film Festival. Boston International is unique in one aspect. They almost always land a major world premiere as their opening night film. That's something even IFFB's been unable to pull off. This year they opened the film with the current critically acclaimed film The Lost City of Z. Charlie Hunnam and the rest of the cast were here for the red carpet premiere. International is exactly what it says. These are films made on an international level. They're always accompanied by a short of some sort. And most of the screenings, the festival used to run like 9 days. It's been shrunk down to 5. And most of the films run at Boston Common, AMC Boston Common.
Yep.
Some of them are now showing in an off-site venue, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it, and I couldn't find it in my notes. But it's a small little screening room in that area. It's a couple blocks away. International, I've only been, to a couple of films there over the years. Most of them we've seen through screeners. And it's
the big problem with that is our work schedule.
Yeah, because they are the only festival that runs the old style festival where they're in programs throughout the day. They'll start in the afternoon and run through the day. Program 1 has 2 shorts and a feature. Program 2 has three shorts and a shorter feature. Program 3 has 5 shorts and 1 longer short, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
So it's really hard for us to arrange our schedule around it. They have, I've got to admit, the 2 times I've been there in person, the people that run it really know how to run a festival. They're great at the Q&As. I've never seen It's the only time I've ever been in the AMC Boston Common where the overhead lights are on. The fluorescent lights are on.
Oh, wow.
You've never been there. You've never been with me to that. So, where everybody can see to sit down, everybody can see the Q&A going on. Because normally, they just have the pin lights, the spotlights on.
Yeah. The usual thing you do in a theater where you're kind of flailing around trying to find your seat, that kind of thing. That's always fun. They
do have a great reputation for wildly varying types of films. Some of them are family dramas. Others can be revered horror films from other countries. Occasionally, they'll bring in a couple of movies that went straight to DVD here in America, but have done theatrical business around the country, around the world.
Around the world, yeah. Which happens a lot more than you think. A lot of films that are released in this country as a TV movie or a mini-series, they will be sent overseas and they will be done in a movie theater.
Yeah.
That happens a lot more than people think it does.
They have a wide variety of types of shorts also, and of course they do have a number of great documentaries every year. And so it's always interesting to see the kind of... This was the time that I was really kind of out of my element. I went to this was 3 or 4 years ago. I went to see a film that Alexa Vega and Caleb Landry Jones were starring in. I've forgotten the title of it. I didn't like the film at all. And it was a really mixed crowd, but I noticed it was one of the best dressed crowds we've ever been. Possibly the only one that could be a little bit considered more faux fancy is the Boston Film Festival in the fall, which takes place at Theater 1 every year.
Yep.
Those are your wine-drinking people. We always kind of feel out of our element, but the movies are always good.
Yeah. We're there to see the films, but that is the one place that I do kind of feel like, oh man, we should have dressed better.
I know, it is. Well, especially since they remodeled that theater.
Yeah.
Boston International, it ran 5 days this year from April 13th through the 17th. And great variety of films. We'll talk about some of them in show 2. And it's definitely an experience because it is the most worldly of all of them except Salem, where they have, Turkish is obviously, but of the English language-based film festivals.
They take international seriously.
Yes, they take it very seriously, and it's very well done. When we come back, the biggest of the festivals, the smallest of the festivals, so small we didn't even know it existed until this year, and the 2 film series that happen every year at this time, plus that early bird from February.
When Subject Cinema returns.
Welcome to the soundtrack of your life. You're listening to Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video-on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
We've got the films you're looking for. Subject Cinema with TC and Kim.
It's a festival on Subject Cinema this weekend. Part 1 of Boston Springs A Fethival Subject Cinema number 567. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
And we are up to our final group of festivals and film series for this year. And just talking about the festivals themselves. Tomorrow we'll talk about the films. And great stuff coming around from them. Next up, out of all of the festivals up here every year, the one that is perhaps the biggest and, although not oldest, it does have clout. Because it has the power of independent cinema behind it. Brian Tam, Nancy Campbell, and their people every year put together a hell of a program for the Independent Film Festival Boston. They celebrated their 15th anniversary this year and ran from later than they usually do, from April 26th through May 3rd. And once again, this is one of those festivals we never miss. We first went in 2008 and caught one of the films at the Coolidge called, what was the name of that? We Are Wizards.
Yes.
Which was the story about...
Was that
That was IFFB.
But I don't think that was
the film was
Coolidge.
at the Coolidge. The concert was at the Somerville.
Oh, okay. No, you're right. I apologize.
We went to the film on Thursday. The concert was Saturday.
Right.
And it was about Wizard Rock and stuff involved with Harry Potter.
Yes.
And we saw the concert on Saturday, Harry and the Potters, and the other group, the one that did
Draco and the Malfoys.
Draco and the Malfoys. Couldn't remember the name. Were performing, and it was fun. We took Jen and Stacy with us and had a grand old time that evening. And it was quite an introduction. We haven't missed the festival since. There is just amazing stuff going on. They have a great group of volunteers, many of whom we know from Clotrudis.
Yep.
Brian Tam is just one of the funniest people on the planet when it comes to movies. He's one person I communicate with a lot during the year over various stuff.
He's really a one-man band, and he's
everywhere.
He
and Nancy do practically everything. It's all volunteer staff. They don't have any pay coming in. It's all
no. These are
through
people
donations
that do this out of the love of film, and it shows. And they are the most friendly, chirpy, real, caring people. They will direct you anywhere. They'll help you out. They'll get you where you need to get to. They pass out snacks. They'll stand out in the freezing cold with you. And they're just a great bunch of folks.
They are. Dan of DuckyDoesTV.com is one of their volunteers. He's out there every year. He's one of the top guys. And so their primary outlet is the Somerville.
Yes.
Again, they have selected shows at the Cambridge. I'll get it right in a second. The Brattle Theatre in Cambridge. They do their last 3 nights usually at the Coolidge Corner in Brookline.
Mm-hmm.
And they get away with being called Boston without getting too much ragging from me because they do a panel at least and usually a film at UMass Boston, which is in Dorchester, which is technically part of Boston.
Yes.
So, but I used to rag on the festivals a lot. Boston Underground is in Cambridge. Boston International is actually in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them, but Underground is in Cambridge. Wicked Queer is mostly outside of Boston also, although they do have some Boston venues. And IFFB, most of their venues are outside of Boston also. Yep. They're in the suburbs. But there is a variety of stuff. I mean, this is the film festival that pulls in the Sundance stuff. It pulls in the South by Southwest stuff. It pulls in the Slam Dance stuff. The ones that everybody's waiting to see. Yep. Now, over the years, we've had great luck with the festival movies here.
Yes.
We've had a couple of trips here and there. The Future and The Loneliest Planet come to mind.
The Future, Miranda July's film The Future, which all the critics loved, both of us hated, and is on my list of films that I would rather, shove a flaming hot nail into my arm rather than watch again.
Loneliest Planet is not the best film. I did give it a poppy for best cinematography because it's beautiful to look at.
Worst date movie ever.
And the only cinematic rendition of the classic children's song Don Gato in its entirety. All 8 verses.
Which is slightly shorter than your average Fish song.
It's not that bad. Anyway.
And about as exciting as watching paint dry.
As we said, these are all venues. We haven't talked much about the Coolidge Corner.
No.
Coolidge Corner is in Brookline. It's a block away from the T. And it's a lot of fun to go there. It's beautifully restored. They restored it in the late 90s to its former grandeur with a beautiful main theater. We've been there. We're members. We've been there so many times over the years to see classic films and festival films and such.
And films you can't see everywhere else because I insisted we had to see Kung Fu Hustle with subtitles.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun. We had to leave work early to do that, too.
It is worth it.
And we were the only 2 people in the theater except for those 2 old ladies that were there.
It is worth it.
And they were still refurbishing at that time.
Yeah.
So it was actually the early 2000s, I guess.
That's the big theater. The Coolidge has several smaller theaters, including one theater that the Gold Room Theater, the Gold Theater, or whatever they called it at the time, where we saw Kill Your Darlings.
Yeah, the Gold Screen.
Which I don't think calling that...
They've renovated that into regular seats now.
Yeah.
They've gotten rid of the couches. But
it's teeny.
It's teeny, but it was a great place to see a film.
Oh, yeah.
They also had the screening room where we saw Euro Dreams of Sushi and where we saw Me and Earl and the Dying Girl the second time we saw it.
Yep.
And the upstairs balcony theater, which they took the balcony and converted it into a single theater.
That's where we saw The Butler. We saw...
We've seen a lot of stuff at that theater. We saw Wizard of Oz there, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We've also seen festival films like Little Men, and we saw All Is Lost up there.
Yep.
Some great stuff. The Coolidge is just a beautiful Art Deco, and they're trying to expand. They actually want to... They're in a block where the upstairs next to them is mostly office space, and they would like to expand into 2 or 3 more cinemas. And I really hope they get away.
The neat thing about the Coolidge, besides the film festivals and besides the regular movies you see there, they also have these special event, films and such, and they have things for kids. They have puppet shows and all kinds of movies and things for little kids. So if you've got a
like
small
the Brattle,
one,
it's considered a repertory theater, even though they show a lot of different stuff.
And magic shows and live magic shows for kids.
They
and
have
stuff, so
monthly or bi-monthly stuff from the Goethe Institute, which is where I saw Keep Rollin', the movie Kim mentioned in the last segment of the German film, and they do a monthly thing with the French Cultural Society or Center. They also have the on-screen stuff from London, the
ballets and the operas and stuff like that. We saw an amazing... We've seen some classic films there, including Some Like It Hot and Jaws. We saw an amazing... I wish everyone could have seen this. Screening of Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the live orchestra.
3-piece orchestra, the Alloy Orchestra. They were amazing.
Oh my gosh,
original
that was
score.
So
they wrote an
mind-blowing.
original score for the film, and it was awesome.
It was so unbelievably cool. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to see it again. We've seen, and they also have like the
by the time it was done, I was ready for it to end, because Metropolis is a long film. It's almost 2 hours, 2 hours and 35 minutes, something like that.
They have their Science on Screen series, which we also talked about last week, where they will show a film, and either before or after the film, they will have someone who was an expert on something about that's in the film talk about it. Like when they showed Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they had a lady.
The scientists and stuff coming in.
Very nice and completely nuts.
Yeah.
Talking about tune physics. When they showed the classic King Kong, they had a gentleman there talking about gorilla conservation.
Yep.
They
do some great stuff at the
They
Coolidge.
really
and it's
do.
a great venue. They do beer and wine.
You know what they need to do?
And
they need to do for like the Science on Screen. They need to show a slasher movie and then talk about everything they get totally wrong about biology in those movies.
They do. They actually do have midnight movies there. They were showing just one for a while. Now they're showing 2 or 3 because they use both theaters or 3 of the theaters.
Yeah. That's the place in Boston you went if you heard about The Room and wanted to see if it
They
really...
show The Room about every 2 months. Tommy Wiseau was actually there last year for one of them.
That's where you went if you wanted to see if this movie was really as bad as everyone says it is. Spoiler alert, it is.
It's a lot of fun, though. They do a great deal of stuff. They have the sing-alongs. We went to the 80s sing-along one midnight week.
Yeah.
It was fun, and it's...
The staff is really great. The
concessions are always great. They have fresh brownies and cookies along with the regular stuff.
Popcorn.
The bad thing is that the bathrooms are all either upstairs or downstairs. On the main floor, there's a unisex handicap bathroom that you're not supposed to use unless you have to. So it can get kind of bad, but they do have an elevator that works, thankfully now. So
which is helpful.
Yeah, it is, and it's just a great place to see stuff.
It's a great area. If you need to grab a snack after the movie or before the movie.
Before, more likely, if you're going, because some of the places close early, but most of them are open until close to midnight.
Upper Crust Pizza is some of the best pizza in Massachusetts.
There's a JP Licks down the street, which is the best of those ice cream parlors.
Yep.
And
there's
a few
also
other places.
Otto Pizza.
Otto's across the street.
Otto's Pizza is good, too.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
The IFFB shows a variety of stuff. They show a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
They confine their shorts to a shorts programs. There's like 10 of them usually each year, or 5 of them. Some narrative, some documentary. But they bring in all of the big films from the big festivals around the world. Over the years, you can see everything is eclectic from, deeply traumatizing documentaries like Blood Brother to off-the-wall cinema like Guy Madden's Keyhole, which was the same day. They were the ones that brought in Miranda July's Scary, The Future, and the marvelous humor-filled found footage film from Norway called Troll Hunter.
Yeah.
They are just a great place.
Did they bring us 13 Assassins? Or
13 Assassins was there the same year as Troll Hunter and Nose. It's just a great place, and Brian and those guys really know what they're doing and bring in some of the best. Not always. I always send Brian a wish list of films in February, and almost always I never get them because he's had trouble getting them in, or so he says.
Well,
I know. His job is thankless. I mean, he's got all this stuff to do.
Yeah,
he and Nancy work their can off to put this stuff up.
There's probably you and 7,500 other people sending in.
I know.
Want this movie.
But they did have the premiere of Boyhood up here, which just got. I mean, it was so huge. The line. When you go into the Somerville Theater, it's all outdoor. They line up outside, and they literally line up around the block. The lines have been so huge for some of the films that you're past the crate place, all the way down the side of the building and around the back, which is how it was for Bean Elmo.
Yes.
It was crazy. They just are a marvelous place.
We've seen some of the documentaries we've seen there have been some of the best documentaries we've ever seen. As TC mentioned, Blood Brother, which will just completely... If that film doesn't make you cry, there's something wrong with it.
They also showed Rich Hill that year, which we didn't see there because we'd already seen it in Salem.
Yeah. They showed The City Dark was where we saw,
Boston area native Ian Chaney makes awesome. Some of the best documentaries on the planet.
Hi, Ian.
I wasn't terribly thrilled with Blue Space, his most recent one. But other than that, I've loved everything he's done. I first heard of him in a film called The Greening of Southie. It was his first major film as a director. It was about the building of a green-friendly building in South Boston.
Yep.
And then, ever since then, he has charmed our socks off with everything he's done. The City Dark, which is about the loss of light, the overpowering light pollution that's destroying viewing stars.
Yeah.
But my favorite, and one that I continue to watch over and over again on Netflix, is his hilarious and poignant look into Chinese food called The Search for General Tso. I adore that film. The soundtrack is marvelous.
It was really funny because when we went to Salem...
He's based out of Springfield, by the way.
When we went to Salem last year, he was doing the after talk after the film that he is...
Blue Space,
most recent film. And he was talking about the other films that he did, and he brought up... did he bring up the
City Dark, and we applauded. He's like, oh, hey!
Yeah, that felt nice. Because
that's a great film, too.
That felt nice.
City Dark and Search for General Tso are both regulars on Netflix streaming. If you've never seen them, I guarantee you when you watch either one of them, you're going to become a big fan of Ian's work. He does some terrific stuff.
Was City of Gold from iStuff?
No, that was a different one.
Right.
Different artist. But he's definitely, and he's a regular
great.
there. And
he's a great guy.
They show practically everything he does, and stuff he does is awesome. Now, those are the big ones. There are also a couple of film series around Boston every year during the film festival period. The Dockyard is a organization out of Cambridge that brings documentaries to the area in a series of films, usually on Monday or Tuesday evenings. They are almost always at the Brattle Theater. And they have brought in some really, really powerful stuff. They brought in a few silly ones as well. But their idea is to show that documentaries reflect the current changing world.
Yes.
One of my favorite films of last year and my winner for Best Documentary 2015 showed in February at the Dockyard. The incredible, and if you're paranoid, don't see it, The Russian Woodpecker. This film is an amazing film.
I can't think why this film would make anybody paranoid.
Well, you still promised me that you'd see it, and it is on Netflix, and you can see it there, or Amazon, one of the two.
Yeah.
And it's a good film. But, I mean, if any of this is true, and there's a good reason to believe by the end of the film, it very well might be true.
Which, of course, is
It's terrifying.
Which, of course, is the whole point of documentaries.
It is. Chad Gracie, the director of that film, basically let... and I'm always forgetting his name, Fedor Alexandrovich, the topic, the subject of the documentary.
Yeah.
Have free reign, pretty much. and his documentarian cinematographer Artem Ryzikov. This film is, it was a winner at Sundance. It deserved to be, but it's terrifying. And if Fedor's theories are correct, it means world history is different from what everybody believes about the Chernobyl accident.
This film is basically postulating the theory that the Chernobyl accident, which a lot of you were not alive for,
was not an accident.
Yeah.
It was a deliberate act of sabotage to cover up something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, the things that happen in this film are terrifying. And she hasn't seen it. I was utterly riveted to the screen. You got to see that. That's one of the best they've ever brought in at the Dockyard. Mm-hmm. They've also brought in other great films over the years, and their website will be available on our PDF, and it's they have a film series. You can buy tickets, a pass for the whole thing.
Yeah.
They do it in the spring and in the fall, usually 10 weeks worth of it. And I mean, the titles are just great, and some of the stuff have been things that you've never heard of that are new and coming in for the first time. Mm-hmm. And some of them, like I said before, are like award winners, like The Russian Woodpecker, which was showing. That was its Boston premiere. It had not shown in the theater in Boston before that. And it's definitely something you want to check out. The other one that happens during the spring is the Belmont World Film Series. It takes place most years. They had to move it to West Newton one year. It takes place most years at the Studio Cinema Theater in Belmont, which is a Boston suburb. They also do usually Monday nights. Occasionally there's one on Sunday. And they are truly a world film show.
Right.
Every one of their films each year come from a different country, are usually in a different language. Occasionally there's an English language one. And they are usually preceded by, after the film, there is a Q&A with an expert on the subject. Not necessarily, because they're usually narrative films, but they have documentary guests come in that can talk about what's going on in the film.
Right.
And occasionally, once a year, before the film, they do a dinner of food native to the country that the movie is from that week.
Cool.
And it's an extra expense. You have to pay extra for it. Yeah. And it's held at the place next door to the Studio Cinema. And I've talked to a number of people at Belmont, and they are just terrific people. And the movies are all, without a doubt, something that you wouldn't see unless you sought them out.
Right.
One or two exceptions.
And then you get a chance to eat food from that place, and that's.
And the nice thing about Studio Cinema, you can go over there at the restaurant next door, buy your dinner, and bring it in with you because it's owned by the cinema. So you can go in and.
Oh, that's amazing.
At least that's what I've been told. It's like, okay, that's never tried that. We still haven't gotten over there to the studio.
No,
we've been trying for a long time. They do that every year, and it ran this year. Started on March 19th and ran through just last week, the 15th of May, on Monday nights. And again, some terrific variety of films. We'll talk about a few of them tomorrow. There is another festival that happens every year, apparently, that we have totally missed. And the reason we've missed it, number one, it's an oversight on my part. I'm the one that's supposed to keep up on these things. And for some reason, I completely missed it, and I've never done that before. It's called the Global Cinema Film Festival. It was in its, I believe it was its 8th year this year. And the reason I missed it, I think a lot of the times, is because it's held at the Regent Theater in Arlington, which is these days used mostly for live performances, although they do show films there occasionally. I feel terrible that we haven't included them every year because I didn't know they were there, so, and none of them have ever gotten in contact with me. And eCinemaBoston's pretty easy to find. The site's there, the Twitter's there, the Facebook is there. And we're known to most of the people around Boston know the crazy people that run eCinemaBoston. It's the crazy pair from Revere that run these crazy podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised
also known
they didn't.
Those two.
It ran from March 9th through the 12th this year. And again, they brought in some heavy hitters, from various places. Again, it is mostly documentaries as opposed to mostly narratives for the Belmont World Cinema series. But I feel badly that we've not included them, and so next year we will go out of our way to make sure we can include them, get to see the films there, which we did not do, and really say, hey, you know, we're sorry for missing you all these years. We didn't know you were out there. And it rose the list of festivals in the area to 9 that happened between March 1st and May 1st. Now, there is another festival that happens outside of that window. It's actually the first festival in Boston every year, and it happens the week leading up to President's Day. It is the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival. It happens again at the Somerville Theater, and they bring in all varieties of science fiction movies. They've brought in classics like 2001, A Space Odyssey. It is the oldest film festival in Boston. It is in its 42nd year. Mm-hmm. It started at the Orson Welles Cinema when it was first launched, which is long gone. Gone. Garen Daly, who is the man who runs this, I've had contact with him. He's a very nice dude, and we've had correspondence from time to time. But he brings in all kinds of interesting stuff, and in addition to classic stuff like 2001, they bring in some smaller sci-fi films, some of them that are mostly edited for DVD in America. But they're best known, and they've been doing it longer than Harry Knowles has been doing it. They're best known for their 24-hour endurance test called the Thon. It happens President's Day weekend. 24 hours of insane, big name, usually science fiction films. And it is usually the first thing to sell out as part of this festival.
Right.
It's always booked to the nth degree. I'm sorry, I don't have the stamina for the Thon. I found that out when we saw the extended versions of Lord of the Rings.
I might have had the stamina for it back when I was
20 years ago. Yes, I could have done it.
Back when I was, 18, I might have had the stamina for it. 18 is in the rearview mirror and going the other way very, very quickly.
And mine's further away than hers, so it's like,
gone are the days of staying up till 2 a.m. watching Headbangers Ball.
I have never known anybody that goes to this festival to come out disappointed. Now, they do run into problems occasionally because it is in February.
Yes. And it is in New England.
They got badly hit by the week of 4 blizzards in February of 2015. They ended up having to bump their programming. Even the Thon got bumped back a week, if I remember right. And
basically because it was like nobody in Boston could move.
Yeah, and Somerville was closing for part of those days. And it was like, I feel so bad for them because they are the oldest festival and one of the longest and most popular festivals because they tend to sell out of a lot of their stuff.
But let's face it, nobody was going to trudge to the movies.
Even though Somerville's easy to get to, as we said. It
is when the T's running.
Yeah. That particular year, the Red Line was affected so much that we missed work a great deal of that month because of not being able to get to Quincy on the Red Line.
Yeah.
We just said we're not riding those shuttles.
Yeah, so
I was in too much pain after doing that the one night that I just couldn't do it again.
And the fact that people were like knee deep in snow, no movie's worth that. I'm sorry.
No. What's the bad thing about having it in February though? Because that was the worst winter we've had in a long time up here, and it was
the worst.
108 inches of snow in 6 weeks. It's like crazy. But they've trudged through it every year. They make it up every year. Mm-hmm. More power to Garrett and his team that run that thing because it's everybody that I've ever talked to says it's so much fun, and they have they bring in all kinds of guests for big names. Harlan Ellison was there a few years ago, and they had a bunch of other. I think that's who it was. One of the Bang writers, and they've shown classic films and underground films, a little bit of everything. And the Thon is always a huge seller. And in fact, tickets for next year's Thon went on sale already. Mm-hmm. It's May. The festival isn't until next February. It's probably close to it, yeah. Every year. They're not part of the Boston Springs A Festival because they do occur 2 weeks earlier. So they don't fit into that March to May window, but we still bring them up every year because they're part of that. And they are the oldest film festival, and they deserve the respect they get. Tomorrow, on part 2 of Boston Springs A Festival, we're going to go through and talk about some of the films that showed this year. Now, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to follow the tack that we use for our Festival of Film Festivals. Rather than bring you the reviews, which we're going to save for when the films actually come out, we're going to bring you the films that we pick as really hot titles you should be watching for. Some of them, of course, we'll be recommending that you watch Netflix or cable for, or DVD, because that's especially underground stuff, that they are not always going to get in theaters. But we will bring you a huge list of great titles that you should be on the lookout for, and that'll be on tomorrow's show. When we come back, we got a few regular features to go through.
When Subject Cinema returns.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Your every man's film school. This is Subject Cinema.
The Dramatic Chipmunk.
Been a few weeks since we found something that really qualified as a dramatic chipmunk, but this one's it. And we have opposite views of this. This is going to be interesting.
Now, we've all been to the theater where someone has texted. You know, taken out their phone, started texting in a theater, and if it's you, don't. It's really douchey. But if you're the type of person that has sat there and seen that happen and said, man, I wish somebody would do something about this, this is the story for you. A man from Texas is suing the woman he took on a date because she was texting during a showing of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Brandon Vesmar, who was a 36-year-old man from Austin, Texas, is suing the woman who is not identified in the story, and is suing her for the sum of, wait for it, $17.31, which was the price of the ticket for a 3D screening of the latest blockbuster from Marvel. Mr. Vesmar told the American Standard newspaper that this date, which was the first date they went on, and I would hazard a guess to say it's the last date they went on.
Yep.
This does not qualify as a love connection. Mr. Vesmar told the American Statesman that this was, quote, a first date from hell, end quote. She turned into a demon? I mean, that would be kind of...
not what they meant.
That would be kind of neat.
You know that.
All right, anyway. And that the woman had checked her phone 10 to 20 times in 15 minutes to read and send text messages, end quote. He says, quote, this is like one of my biggest pet peeves, end quote, saying that he had asked her to stop, but she had refused. The woman, who is 35 years old and whose name has not been printed, probably because I don't want to think about what would happen if movie fans found out who she was, has a defense for this. And her defense is that she was texting with a friend who had had an argument with her boyfriend. She says, quote, I had my phone low and I wasn't bothering anybody. It wasn't like constant texting, end quote. She says that Mr. Vesmar had asked her for the money back for the ticket once the movie was done, but she had refused because, quote, he took me out on a date, end quote. The petition that Mr. Vesmar has filed with the court says that the conduct was, her conduct during the film was, quote, in direct violation, end quote, of the film's non-texting policy. The woman's other remark to this was, quote, "I am not a bad woman. I just went out on a date," end quote.
Are you texting during the film?
Apparently she was.
Are you supposed to text during the film?
No.
Then you don't have any business being in a movie theater.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that if
and this will teach her never to do it.
I do think that if she was texting during the film, I think that is a really rude, douchey thing to do. I also think that the best thing for her to do, if this was something, that she felt was important, that her friend was upset because she'd had a fight with her boyfriend, if it was that important, she should have marched herself out of the theater, gone out in the hallway, and texted her friend out there. And one of the things she should have texted to her friend was, "Hey, can you wait and we'll talk later because I'm on a date and my date's getting annoyed." Click, put the phone away, go back inside. Now that's where I'm coming from. However, I also think that Mr. I lost your name. Vesmar. Dude, grow a set. Seriously. You're going to sue a person for under $20? You're going to waste the court's time?
It's the principle of the thing. It is. It's the principle of the thing. You're going to take a date to see a film that's a blockbuster that you've paid extra money for a 3D film to see the film in 3D with the goofy glasses and everything else. Your date should have the courtesy to leave her phone in her purse for the duration of the film. It's okay during the opening, maybe a little okay, sort of not so okay, but okay during the credits or during the trailers. Once that film starts, that phone better be in your purse.
I agree with that. I completely agree.
And if you're not going to comply, even when I tell you to, then you should have the decency to pay them back for the amount of money.
When I tell you to? When I tell you to?
What do you mean when I tell you to?
You just said that she should do it because he told her to?
Did I say that? That's not what I meant.
If he asked her to, yes. If he told her to, that would be different.
I don't think I said I told her to, but that's okay.
Right,
whatever.
Well,
anyway.
Anyway. No, my point is, you're going to waste the court's time, the court's resources for a less than $20 lawsuit. Seriously, grow a set.
I think that's entirely unfair. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what the court system is there for.
Personally, I would think that in my opinion, I would just go on.
What exactly is he supposed to grow a set of? You're not making any sense here. What you just said made absolutely no sense in the world. Grow a set? What is he doing?
Go on a dating site and say how much of a lousy date she was.
Then they can sue you for defamation.
Did you do the things they said you did?
Yeah.
Then it's not defamation.
It is if the person conceives it at that and harms her reputation.
I'm sorry.
The proper thing to do would have been for him to ask her for the money and her to pay him back.
Yeah, it would have been. That would have been the decent thing to do. He should have been like, look, I did pay for this. And her being like, well, he asked me on a date, therefore I shouldn't have to pay. No, honey, that's not the way it works.
Especially if you're doing that.
Yeah, if you sat there being a total douche canoe, then yeah, you totally need to pay for the date. And especially the fact that you sat there and didn't pay attention during such an awesome film. First of all, that shows you've got crappy
taste. Film has
taste.
nothing to do with it.
Well, it shows you've got crappy taste in movies if you couldn't pay attention because Guardians kicked ass. But I'm like, both of these people do not come off during this as being, her whole thing of I am not a bad person. Nobody said you were a bad person. Nobody's saying that you're a bad person, but you're going to instantly get all that defensive?
Like you just did? Dramatic chipmunk, anybody? Yeah, that's what you just did.
Oh, I think the whole thing is ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, personally, I would have just been like, fine, get your own ride home and left her there. But that's just,
Yeah.
That's...
Anyway, that's this week's dramatic chipmunk moment.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Back to the dark side of the moon for this week's 13 report. We are reporting and reviewing all of the new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. This week, show number 5, The Beast of Hollow Mountain.
Beast of Hollow Mountain is a 1956 horror movie set in the West. It's a Western genre
Horrible
film.
movie.
It's that too. The time, the turn of the 20th century. The place, Mexico. A part of Mexico that has apparently been besieged for years by a beast that kills cattle, that is not a chupacabra, in an area called Hollow Mountain. Why you wouldn't move the cattle, I have no idea, but anyway. All of that kind of falls in the background when it comes to the love triangle that is going on between an American cowboy named Jimmy Ryan, who is trying to build a ranch up with his helper Felipe, and who almost drowns in quicksand at the beginning of the movie. I wasn't aware there was quicksand in Mexico, but whatever. After Felipe almost gets drowned and Jimmy saves him, they ride into town where they see a little boy named Panchito trying to help his father, Pancho. Pancho is the town drunk who was taken to the bottle since his wife died. So we get alcoholism and child neglect in the first half hour. Thank you, movie. Jimmy is sweet on a young lady named Sarita, who is unfortunately supposed to marry some other guy. The other guy is also a jerk, and as well as being a fellow rancher in the area. He is a complete a-hole. And Enrique, yes. The whole thing starts to go south when Pancho and Panchito wind up working for Jimmy because all of his other ranch hands and stuff, besides Felipe, who's his best loyalist friend ever, all of his ranch hands are like told to paid off and leave by Enrique. Like I said, he's an a-hole.
Well, we don't know that. They say that they're leaving because of the Beast of Hollow Mountain.
Yeah, but we know that that Pancho and Panchito saw them being paid off by Enrique's men.
Right.
But yeah, they're claiming they're leaving because of this mythical beast that nobody's seen, but it's been killing a bunch of cattle. Pancho winds up being killed by something off camera, leaving Panchito an orphan that nobody will tell is an orphan. They keep saying his father is away.
Well, that doesn't happen for quite a while into the movie, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the movie is taken up by the love triangle between Jimmy and Sarita and Enrique. Entirely too much of the movie.
Yes, we don't get the Beast of Hollow Mountain until the final 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah, although we do get off-camera deaths and stuff like that, as I mentioned, including the aforementioned Pancho, who's so liquored up that he probably tasted pretty good. As it turns out, on beg your pardon. On Sarita's actual wedding day, she basically decides, I can't marry Enrique, he's a jerk. And I'm in love with Jimmy. And as it turns out, the Beast of Hollow Mountain is actually very real. And said beast turns out to be, wait for it, a dinosaur.
An Allosaurus, to be exact.
Yeah, an Allosaurus. Not an incredibly large dinosaur, as dinosaurs go. I mean, I've seen bigger. That's what she said. But, anyway, the dinosaur shows up, wreaks havoc, almost eats Sarita and Panchito and a whole bunch of other people before it finally winds up killing Enrique, which we knew was going to happen before the end of the movie. good winds up triumphing when Jimmy uses himself as bait and manages to lure said beast out into the quicksand tar pit, whatever the hell it is. And in a move that is incredibly stupid, ties a rope to himself and starts swinging back and forth being bait. And amazingly enough, this actually sort of works. And Jimmy does not wind up being eaten or falling into the tar pit, but the beast does. And it sinks into the tar pit, never to rise again and terrify, cows and drunken Mexicans. And then everybody stares at the pit where the beast went down and leaves. The end.
Guy Madison as Jimmy Ryan, Patricia Medina as Sarita, Carlos Rivas as Felipe, Eduardo Noriega as Enrique, Julio Villarreal, I would guess, as Don Pedro. He was Sarita's father. Mario Navarro as Panchito, Pascal Garcia Pina as Pancho, and Lupe Carillas as Margarita.
Uh-huh.
They filmed this in both English and Spanish. Thankfully, we didn't have to go through it. And it was co-written under the pseudonym El Toro Estrella by legendary special effects artist Willis O'Brien.
Yeah.
Who should have known better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow, this movie is terrible. Actually, I have to be honest, it's shot rather well. It's shot rather well. It doesn't look terribly shoddy with the backgrounds and such. Those all look nice. And there is a pretty nice slobber knocker of a fist fight between Jimmy and Enrique, where every single conceivable table in the immediate area gets broken. But the actual beast does not show up till the last bit of the film. And as beasts go, I've seen bigger.
Yeah. It's not terrible bad, but...
Oh, no, we've seen worse. Creeping Terror is the example of how not to do a monster movie and how not to make a monster. But as far as,
anybody who's seen The Creep Behind the Camera knows why.
Yeah, absolutely. But, we've seen much worse looking monsters, as I mentioned, The Creeping Terror or Robot Monster or stuff like that. But as a giant rampaging killer dinosaur goes, this was not that impressive.
It wasn't Jurassic World.
No. It's not all that large. It's bigger than a human being, but it's not, 60 feet tall or something like that.
No, it appears to be quite larger than that, though. It's about the size of King Kong. The original King Kong.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it didn't
That's not terribly large in retrospect to most dinosaurs on screen.
No, that's true. Maybe it was a hatchling or something, I don't know, or a teenager, or, whatever the dinosaur equivalent of a tween is. Maybe that's why he was eating so much. It's going through a growth spurt. But,
this movie...
sucks.
Yes, it did. It was filmed in CinemaScope. I can't imagine this showing at a CinemaScope theater. Waste of time!
I can imagine it showing at a drive-in.
Now, don't put down drive-ins.
No, I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying this is the kind of movie that would show up at a drive-in.
Especially since we have something special starting next weekend.
And considering the flipping genius who made the poster for this film.
I know, the dinosaurs right on the poster.
Like I said, we don't actually see the beast until the end of the film. Not even close-ups or anything. I think it was one.
But they knew they would bring people in with that poster. Even though they didn't get much of the dinosaur. Kids would be like, dinosaur! Want to go!
Considering the fact that there's more than one scene where the dinosaur looks kind of goofy. For some reason, I don't know why they felt like they had to do this. The dinosaur is pictured with this lolling red tongue that it seems to have a real hard time keeping in its mouth. And its tongue's kind of like a golden retriever or something like that, kind of flapping. I'm like, why did you feel that was necessary? I don't understand.
Anyway.
So we had to watch this with Jonah and the bots, because if they have to suffer, we have to suffer.
That's the whole point of this show.
Yeah, and they really suffered through this one. The invention exchange this week for Jonah versus the Mads involved Jonah coming up with a disco cannon, because that's what the world needs. Actually, maybe it is what the world needs. If everybody stopped fighting and started dancing, maybe, stuff would be a little less crappy.
Yep.
Anyway. Kinga's invention is how the Titanic wouldn't have sunk if they had a hot water cannon to melt the iceberg. Yeah, just for the record, my heart will go on. They had some really good riffs in this one because they really needed them, because it was just a terrible, 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 awful, awful film.
But not as bad as what's coming up next week. 13 Report returns next weekend on our debut of the Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer with the 1978 classic ripoff Star Crash, starring Marjo Gortner and David Hasselhoff. Be there or be frightened, people.
You have no idea what's coming. No idea.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
How much is that dog in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that dog?
I don't know if you guys are very familiar out there with Paste magazine. Paste has been around for a long time. They went away for a couple years because they couldn't afford to be out there in publication, but now they're a crowdfunded publication, and they're still online at paste.com or pastemagazine.com, excuse me.
That's got to be cheaper than being a print magazine.
Yeah, it is. Well, they do a print quarterly now. They used to be a monthly, and now it's just every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
They do music. They do a little bit of everything. And this week, they did the top 100 most iconic dogs in movies. And we thought this would be fun to bring it up. I thought it would be interesting because the top 20 were interesting. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but I'll have a link to it in the show notes if you want to see it. It's a great list. There's a lot of great stuff going on over there. Paste also recently ranked the top Misty episodes of all time from best to worst, so that was interesting. The top 20 dogs on their list go like this. Number 20 is Verdell from As Good As It Gets. That's the Brussels Griffon owned by Greg Kinnear's character.
Number 19 is Badger from the...
Bodger.
Bodger from The Incredible Journey.
He's the bull terrier on the original Incredible Journey. Number what the heck? Tied at number 19, I guess, is Einstein from Back to the Future. That's the what is he? Just a big shaggy dog?
He's a shaggy dog, yeah.
Number 17, one of your favorites.
Number 17 is Doug from Up, who is a golden retriever that has a little thing on him that he can talk to people because he's animated, and it's adorable.
Yeah. Number 16 is Gromit specifically from The Wrong Trousers,
Yay!
Which was the last of the shorts they did, the original shorts.
Before everybody in the whole world found how awesome Aardman was.
Yeah.
Number 15 is
Arthur. From Beginners from 2010. The dog's name is Cosmo. He plays Arthur. And he was another Jack Russell that we will talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
Number 14, Pongo and Perdita from 101 Dalmatians, the original animated version from 1961.
Lucky number 13
and boy, is it an appropriate place.
Oh, yeah. Old Yeller from the Disney classic Old Yeller.
Old Smeller!
The movie that probably scarred more people than Bambi, if that's possible.
Yeah. I've only seen Old Yeller in a film strip version.
They were running it on TV in a store at one time, and I stood there and bawled my eyes out.
For Pete's sake.
Because I'm a big fluffy marshmallow.
Well, you bawled it at Barnes & Noble reading Remembering Farley, too.
Yeah,
from
I did.
For Better or Worse. Number 12 are the dogs featured in the film 8 Below with Paul Walker. The various dogs get through various injuries and stuff and all become a big mess there. But
Number 11 doesn't have a name. He is the dog owned by Max, the character played by Mel Gibson in The Road Warrior. He's an Australian cattle dog,
Yep.
and he's Max's buddy.
Yep. Number 10, Tramp from Lady and the Tramp, 1955 classic from Disney. Number 9, Lady
from Lady and the Tramp. You can't have Tramp without Lady.
No,
That's
I
like
agree.
macaroni without cheese. Number 8, are you surprised at this at all? The top dog of the 70s, Benji. Benji, who is this little fluffy, adorable dog in these fluffy, adorable movies.
I love this, though, what they said about this. The soft focus photography and mawkish music. Mawkish music. Not to mention the 70s fashions worn by the humans have dated this much-loved dog movie, but it doesn't diminish the charm and courage of the titular lovable pooch.
Yep.
Benji in the original film was played by Higgins from Petticoat Junction, and Higgins' daughter, Benjean, would later play Benji in later films. They are currently working on a remake of the original film.
Number 7 is a film I have never seen because if I do see it, I'm going to cry till I throw up, and I know I am. Number 7 is Hachi from Hachi, A Dog's Tale, which is based on a true story of an Akita dog who used to go every day to the train station to greet his master and would go to the same train station every day and wait for his master after his master passed away, and the dog did that for 9 years.
This is not unlike Greyfriars Bobby, which is further down on the list in the 40s, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is another great film that I saw when I was a kid.
I'm sorry, I read what this movie was about and I started to cry. I'm like, I can't see this movie because I will just cry till I'm sick. Number 6 is probably the most famous German Shepherd in the entire world, Rin Tin Tin, from the first movie he was in called The Man from Hell's River from 1922.
The only silent in the top 20, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, no, the only silent from the old silence in the top 20.
Did you know that in 1926 he was the biggest box office star in the world, earning $6,000 a week, which at the time was unprecedented.
He saved Warner Brothers from bankruptcy.
Sure did.
At number 5, the other silent film from the modern era, Uggy.
Yay!
Who played Jack in The Artist, 2011.
Love Uggy.
Uggy passed away a couple years ago, but he was one of the winners of the, what do they call that? The Palm Dog.
The Palm Dog from
which is
Cannes.
an award that Cannes gives away to dogs,
These are the jokes,
dog
folks.
actors. You
Yeah.
don't give away cat awards.
Well,
that's
no,
not
I know
very
that's not
fair.
very fair. Number 4, the best beagle in the whole world next to my beloved Queenie, Snoopy from Snoopy Come Home. Another film that if you don't cry at this movie, there's something wrong with you. Snoopy is a beagle with an active imagination and just so much fun, and this film killed me.
Snoopy Come Home is arguably the best of the original 4
Yeah.
Peanuts films. Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown was not that great. Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, Don't Come Back was not bad.
No.
But Boy Named Charlie Brown just drives me up the wall.
I love the Peanuts
Even though that was the very first film I ever saw in an indoor cinema.
The Peanuts movie from 2015, which I was initially kind of concerned with, really
I
captured...
thought it was going to be terrible, and it was awesome.
I really
loved
captured
it.
Snoopy's joie de vivre, and he's just fantastic.
Unlike Jane from 500 Days of Film, we brought her site up last week. She was disappointed by the Peanuts film. She didn't really think it was as good as it should have been, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm surprised we had such a difference of opinion on that, but I was really kind of surprised. Number 3, Asta from the classic Thin Man films, 1934 and beyond.
Probably the most sober character in the entire film
easily.
most of the time, because Nick and Nord like their booze.
Easily. Number 2, Lassie from Lassie Come Home, 1943. Elizabeth Taylor making her teenage debut at this point.
And number 1, Toto from The Wizard of Oz.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Toto was played by a dog named Terry, who was a really well-behaved dog and obviously beloved by his co-star Judy Garland, because he had a little accident on set and broke his foot. And Judy took care of him. She wanted to adopt her. Actually, Terry was a girl dog. But her owner and trainer said nope. And she appeared in 16 films, and her name was actually changed to Toto in 1942. Beautiful, adorable dog, and just so full of life. I love Toto.
The author of the list, Sharon Knoll, runs a site called moviepause.com, PAWS.com. So, yeah, if you've not been over there, you should check that out.
Okay, so now where's our list of 100 greatest cats in the movies? Come on.
I know. We don't have any of the cats here.
Equality.
That's hardly fair.
Equality.
We'll have a link to the list and moviepause.com in our show notes, so be sure to check it out.
We want our top pussy list.
Can we say that on podcasting?
We just did.
Oh, yeah.
I just did.
You're listening to Subject Cinema.
Okay, so we've reached the end of part 1 of the Boston Springs A Fethival show.
Yep.
Tomorrow we're going to have the films. We're going to have a few more special segments. And of course, next weekend, Subject Cinema is opening the top and heading out down the road as we launch Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer, a whole summer devoted to drive-in entertainment.
We're going to the drive-in. We're going to the drive-in.
Lots of cool stuff, a brand new Centric website and everything else, all for Drive-In Summer, co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, and driveins.com at drive-ins.com, helping us out. We're going to have a lot of great stuff, and we hope you will be there, as you will be for all of our regular shows. Here on Subject Cinema's feed, you can get Front Row 5 and 10. It'll be on Thursday. We're a week late with it. It'll be back. Catastrophe Vortex will be back this week at catastrophevortex.com. Mm-hmm. That's my disaster movie film show. Disaster film show. Disaster movie film? No. Disaster movie show. And, of course, our weekly roundups of all the new releases on Tuesday, Digidex on Tuesdays, and 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays. Plus, Kim's show, Platinum Rose's Garden.
Yes.
Look out. It is crazy this weekend.
My show, Platinum Rose's Garden, covers this week's episodes, plural, of Supernatural. We have reached the end of season 12, so we have the 2 episodes that...
And much hand-wringing has been done.
Kiss my butt. They're the last 2 episodes of season 12, Who We Are, and All Along the Watchtower. I hope you will come check out my show at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. And I hope you will check out us on Twitter. I'm Platinum Rose Lady at Twitter.com.
And I'm eCinemaOne and eCinemaBoston on Twitter, so you can check it out there. And don't forget Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon at Cavebabble.com. And Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee-wee debuting next weekend on all of these PNR network stations. Mm-hmm. We hope you'll check it out. A lot of great stuff coming up in the summer, as we said, with all this great stuff on Drive-In Summer.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. Spread the word! SubjectCinema.com. And you definitely want to hear it. And all of our great stuff and our daily commentary and stuff at eCinemaOne.com and eCinemaBoston.com. We'll be back with tons more films on tomorrow's show. But until then, I think it's time to go.
Me too.
For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Part 2 tomorrow.
Come back and check us out.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.